It's open. People are joining, so give them a second.
Let's see, we're supposed to be here coming through too.
Welcome, everyone. I see all of the attendees loading in. We have over 100 people already logged on. We're going to give it about 2 minutes and then we will get started, everyone.
Some time to mess with the speaker.
All right, another 30 seconds and we will get started, everyone. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, welcome everyone. My name is Paul Young. I'm the Director of Housing and Community Development for the City of Memphis, and we are here today to talk about Historic Melrose, a very exciting project that is a part of the Mayor's Accelerate Memphis program. We have a lot of great speakers for you today. I'll give you the quick agenda so that you know who's coming. First, I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Strickland to say a few words. He'll be followed by Director Nick Walker, from Parks, and then Director Keenan McCloy from Libraries. Then I'll turn it over to the Orange Mound historian, Ms. Mary Mitchell, and then we'll give you a brief presentation, and then it'll be followed by Q&A. I'll also, after Mayor Strickland, we'll also have Councilwoman Jamita Swearingen. So we're gonna go in that order, and I'll turn it over to you, Mayor, for some opening comments.
Thank you, Paul. First, I want to start with thank yous. First, thank you to Paul Young, because without you, Paul, we could not be here. And you and your team have just been fantastic through this whole process. You've just doggedly pursued something that made sense for this, so thank you. I also want to thank the citizens in Orange Mound. I see Miss Mitchell there, front and center on camera. Thank you. We could not be here without y'all. And also thank the City Council. This is truly a team effort. Everyone has played a role, and we couldn't have done it without all the pieces here. So, but earlier this year, in my State of the City address, I announced really an unprecedented investment in our city. It's called Accelerate Memphis, Invest in Neighborhoods. This is a $200 million investment in catalytic community projects in every neighborhood and every city council district, from Smoky City to South Memphis, Raleigh to Whitehaven, and Klondike to Orange Mound. This will help restart the momentum we were feeling before the pandemic and accelerate our growth by improving the quality of life, driving equity and inclusion, improving housing and connectivity, and solving stubborn, big problems that are deeper and more expensive than any yearly budget can solve. From Accelerate Memphis, we have earmarked $10 million for the redevelopment of Historic Melrose High School. This building will be reimagined and repurposed for future generations. And based on input of all those people that I just mentioned, all those groups, have a new library, a genealogy center, multi-generational programming in the building, and senior housing on the upper floors, all in one place. Now, it's also impossible to talk about the school without also mentioning its meaning in and to the community, and really the Memphis as a whole. Orange Mound, as we know, and I feel embarrassed saying all this history in front of Miss Mitchell because she knows it better than me, established in 1890, one of the oldest African-American communities in the country, and one of the few where African Americans could buy land and build their homes, businesses, and churches. Orange Mound has been a treasured place for thousands of individuals who share a collective vision for safeguarding the heritage of this great community. Historic Melrose, a crown jewel in Orange Mound, has seen a lot in the past. And with this investment, we will be reimagining this cherished building and breathing new life into this great community for a better future. We look forward to the continued partnership because it's going to take all of us to do this. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd next like to introduce our illustrious councilwoman, Jamita Swearingen. I know she's been a tireless advocate for this project, and I'd love to hear your remarks, Councilwoman Swearingen.
Thank you very kindly, and thank you so much for your leadership, Director Young. You have been impeccable in everything that you've done, and you have made this mission possible, not only for the Orange Mound community, but as they say, Six Flags over Orange Mound, which includes the fairgrounds area, and you have broadened the boundaries to include Orange Mound and Lamar Airways Shopping Center. There are a lot of great things going on in that area. As you see, Port Lee, they are getting ready to have a groundbreaking as well. But none of this could be done without the faith, the diligence, the assertiveness, the willingness, and the passion of the constituents of Orange Mound. They're like no other. Orange Mound has become the talk of town, and that's about to become my motto. Orange Mound is the talk of town. And thank you to those that I see sitting in front and behind, Miss Mary Mitchell. All of you all are some movers and shakers and stakeholders in the community, and none of this could be possible. There's no I in teamwork, and we realize that. I appreciate the mayor for your vision. You have made a lot of things happen in your past 5 or 6 years, and it has not gone unnoticed. But there have been some milestones done in the Orange Mound community, and I really applaud individuals coming to the forefront. They have made certain that they have not had any incidents of crime in the past 30 days, and that was abided by. And we went through the milestone of not having a full service grocery store, and now it's moving and shaking. Now have a preschool that in Port Lee, and now the renowned Old Melrose is coming into fruition. So there's some great things that are going on in the Orange Mound community, and I am proud to represent the citizens of that community. I know those that are brief shall be invited again. So with that being said, I just want to share that I love Orange Mound.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman. Next, I'd like to hear from our Parks Director, Director Nick Walker.
Thank you, Paul. And I'll echo the sentiments of the mayor and Councilwoman Swearingen. They're 100% correct. In 2004, the Orange Mound Community Services Center, which is unique in that it is the only parks building which services both the senior center and the community center. When it was developed, the idea was that it would be a community services, that all the things that the citizens of Orange Mound would be available to them on that site. That vision didn't come to full fruition, but with this development, we get one step closer. And it's an amazing thing to see, and it is a partnership. It's a partnership between housing and community development, libraries, the city government, and the private partners who are going to help bring this to fruition. So it warms my heart. I know as the Parks Director that there is not a single building that I operate that have as much vibrancy and excitement and enjoyment and usage as the Orange Mound Senior Center, any day of the week and twice on Saturdays. It is great to see, and I know that same energy and enthusiasm and use will be across the breezeway in this new building. So I'm excited to see this. I'm happy to see this, and I'm just so grateful that it was able to happen. And I'll quit rambling because it's going to be a library. So I'll turn it over to Director McCloy to talk about what an awesome library is coming.
Director McCloy.
So we're really excited about that. Memphis Public Library strongly believe that Black history is American history and should be preserved and made accessible to everyone. As a sidebar, I have a lot of coworkers who are graduates of Melrose, and they are fiercely proud, and I can't be more thrilled than to see this project coming into being, and it's wonderful. The former Melrose School is obviously a very appropriate building to house a library and genealogy center, because it's a place where generations of students gain knowledge and wisdom to change Memphis, and frankly, many change the world. So it's located in one of the city's most significant neighborhoods. And so the Library and Genealogy Center are definitely going to add a new chapter to Orange Mound's long history of creativity that's been the hallmark of Orange Mound for over a century. In the Genealogy Center, young people will learn video and audio production. A lot of people talk about Cloud 901 at the Benjamin L. Hook Central Library. This is going to pull a younger generation into the mix and create new history for Orange Mound, and in helping students learn these additional skills. The Genealogy Center staff will guide students in conducting oral interviews, because that's so critical. We need to grab every bit of information we can to make sure that the long-term pride in Orange Mound continues forever. We want to create films and podcasts and about the history of the community and the writing, the chronicles of the lives of Orange Mound citizens. And it will also, this space, this library will also store historical documents and present public programming. So we are extremely excited about that. We do get excited by the fact that they're going to be older students and living in the same building as the Genealogy Center, and then students have unique access to living primary sources of information who can teach them a whole lot about the past and also can create their future. The redevelopment Melrose space will spawn a deeper sense of community and lead to a lot more educational opportunities and educational and economic growth. And also will serve as a model, not just for Memphis, but I think the nation, and how a library and a genealogy center can improve a neighborhood by preserving its past and being a part of its future. So Memphis Public Libraries is thrilled to be a part of it, and we're grateful to you, Director Young, and to Ms. Mitchell and all those who have created the legacy that is so valuable here in Memphis.
All right, thank you so much, Director. So we couldn't have this conversation without making sure we had a voice from Orange Mound as a part of this dialogue. And so I spoke with Ms. Mary Mitchell a couple of weeks ago, back when the mayor announced this, and you know, that call was the reason that we do this work. I mean, to be able to do work on physical structures that have such a tremendous impact on people in neighborhoods is the reason that we are all inspired for public service. I appreciate all the work that everyone in Orange Mound has done. It's been a long journey for everyone, and we are really appreciative to be at this point where we can at least speak tangibly about what is getting ready to happen next. And so I wanted Ms. Mary Mitchell to just say a few words to just talk about this project and any other comments that she wanted to say. Ms. Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Young. I prepared something because I was coached by Ms. Harrison. I can't go for my time. And generations of Melrose alumni and Orange Mound descendants are grateful to Mayor Strickland, Councilman Swearengin, Mr. Paul Young, and Ms. Felicia Harris for their magnanimous contribution to this journey. Webster defines shrine as a site hallowed by venerated objects and its associations. According to the Gospel of Mary E., and that's me, that's an excellent way to describe the historic Melrose School building. So we certainly appreciate you all being on this jubilation journey for this particular site. Deserves everything about it. Melrose was finished in 1938. It was a shrine. And this particular work gave jobs to our fathers and our parents, because I was born here in 1936, just outside of the Depression. So we are very, very grateful. It's so many great things that I could say about the building, and I'm sure I will see Felicia raising up her hand for me by the time is up. But it's very important to know that anything great that ever happened in Orange Mound, and it always happened in Melrose. So we'll just wait until the Genealogy Center and the historic part of it is presented. So you all will just go, did they do that? So thank you, Mr. Young. Thank you, Mayor Strickland. Thank you, Felicia. And I hope it didn't exceed with that, because I could say more.
Was perfect. Thank you so much. I'm going to dive right into the presentation, so bear with me. It's pulled up on the screen. Hopefully you all can see that. And I'm going to run through this relatively quickly. Before I get started, I want to also acknowledge some of the members on our team at HCD that have done a lot of work. You heard Felicia Harris, who is our administrator of our planning department, has done a lot of work on this project. Mary Claire Boris, who's the manager of our strategic initiatives department, will be working on the construction aspects of this project. Also acknowledge our deputy director, Mari Albertson, Joyce Cox, our manager of neighborhood engagement. A lot of members of our team have done a lot of work over the past few years leading up to this moment. And so I wanted to make sure that I acknowledge them as we move forward. So I will jump into the presentation. I'll try to make this relatively quick because we want to leave about 30 minutes for Q&A. So this gives a little bit of context on the building and the structure and its history. As the mayor mentioned, it was the building, or the neighborhood was from around 1890. So the first school was at that time. There was a Rosenwald school. There was a little yellow school on the site. It was the second Melrose. And then this building was built in 1938. It was a 3-story building, 40,000 square feet. And the building officially closed in 1981. I want to say, at least I've heard, that there were the last class that graduated there was around 1979, but I think the building was still operating. Back in 2018, in 2001, it was put on the National Registry. And in 2018, there was a temporary activation that we did in Orange Mound in October in 2018. It was a fabulous weekend event, and many of you, I believe, were there. And Miss Mary Mitchell actually had on the shirt from that event. So here are just some images. Some of you that are on the line today may be in some of these images. Obviously, Orange Mound is a very historic neighborhood, and the school has always been the center of activity. So these images just demonstrate all of the life and activity that took place in that building. This is the sad picture. I mean, this is how it looks today, and this is how it's looked for the last 15 to 20 years. And so 40 years of vacancy. There was a lot of dialogue back in the early 2000s, early to mid 2000s around demolition of the structure. There were residents in the neighborhood that fought to save the building. The city had actually even allocated some dollars to demolish the structure. But listening to the voices of those residents, the city put that on hold to see if there was an opportunity to save this structure. So back in 2017, we started having conversations around the fairgrounds redevelopment. And the question that we posed was, how can the fairgrounds redevelopment have a positive impact on adjacent communities, specifically Orange Mound? And what we heard from the community was that this building was an asset that they wanted to preserve. And so we took that dialogue and we turned it into this temporary activation in 2018 in collaboration with many members of the community. I can recall in preparation for that event, I went to one of the Melrose alumni meetings in the cafeteria for the existing Melrose High School. And I was just blown away at the level of engagement. I mean, there were people all over the place, and all I could see was the maroon and gold. And it was just a glorious sight. So fast forward from there, we went and we had a private development opportunity. So we put out bids for private developers to redevelop the structure. That was the charge at the time. Let's identify ways to get private investment into this structure. We got a response, and you'll hear from that team in just a moment. But with that response, we took that back to the community members that we had been meeting with to start the temporary activation. We heard from that team that they wanted to have more opportunity to enter the building. They wanted the bottom floor to be more active. And so we went back to the drawing board with that development team, and then was birthed this program through Accelerate Memphis, and the work that the mayor and the administration has done to provide access to capital so that we can make projects like this a reality. And so what does the future look like? These are a couple of images of the exterior. We want to have something that is nationally significant in Historic Melrose, something that is state of the art. We want to repurpose this historic building. We want it to be multi-use. We want to ensure that there's a public-private partnership, and that's what we believe we will develop. And so what will the programming look like? You've heard the plan for African-American Genealogy Center, a place where you have multi-generational programs, as Director McCloy mentioned, so youth programs with the arts, cultural research, obviously the library. We want to have spaces in this structure where neighborhood nonprofits can convene and gather. We want to think of cool things that the community and kids would like to use, like the video and audio recording, similar to some of the things that take place at Cloud 901 at the Benjamin Hooks Library. Spaces for community conversations, as well as oral history collections. We know that Orange Mound is one of the most culturally rich communities in the country, and we want to make sure that we are capturing that history for future generations. Here's a little bit more about the Genealogy Center and some of the things that take place in genealogy centers. Obviously, family research is about preserving as much of that history as possible, various archives, photos, artifacts, digitalizing those photos, really having an emphasis on the Orange Mound neighborhood, but also thinking abroad. Like I said, we want this to be a national model. We want it to be a place where people from across the country want to come to Orange Mound to visit this space, to research their history. This will also be a part of Memphis Heritage Trail, which has been an initiative that we've been working on for a number of years to connect cultural assets throughout our city. So assets like the National Civil Rights Museum, Claiborne Temple, and other assets that we have in this community will be connected to this network of assets, and this will be one of those. So timeline. So we're just kicking off. We've done a little bit of preliminary design, as you can see, but we need to get to a much more detailed standard. We expect there to be an 8 to 12 month design period with the early 2022 groundbreaking. We're putting an 18-month construction period. It could be shorter, but it's better to project longer. And our goal is to ensure that this genealogy center is open and library is open by the end of 2023, ideally sooner. Right now, what I'd like to do is introduce the development team that will be partnering with us on the design and construction of this space. And I'd like for them to briefly introduce themselves and then talk us through these last couple of slides, and then we'll get to your questions. If you have questions, please type them into the chat. I know that there are some that are watching this on Facebook, and you can still type your questions there, and we will get them converted into the Zoom. So with that said, I'd like to ask Saki Middleton to introduce himself. Saki's from the John Stanley Company, and he's partnered with Self Tucker Architects, and Jimmy Tucker and Saki will tell us a little bit about themselves and then go into the presentation. So Saki.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. I'm very excited to be a part of the team to develop the Melrose School. I think we have a great plan, and I'm familiar with Memphis and that I'm the developer for the Mason Homes project that's on 4th and E.H. Crump. And so we have a lot of experience in developing projects, housing and other uses, particularly mixed uses. And so we look forward to being a part of the program and working with the community to make sure that the design comes out with everyone's vision in it. So just wanted to say a few words.
Okay, and good evening, everyone. This is Jimmy Tucker. And again, I too am very excited about being a part of this project. I am a native Memphian, didn't grow up in Orange Mound, but certainly I have a lot of affinity for Orange Mound and the tremendous history of the community, and just really pleased about the opportunity to revitalize the historic Melrose School. And we wanted to take a little bit of time to just take you through the images that we have here today. Already Director McCloy and Paul have done a great job of providing the background, and we really just wanted to point out a few of the specific spaces. So this phase of the project will primarily focus on, as they've already stated, the library, the Genealogy Center, stabilizing the existing building. You do see some proposed new apartments, but that will be a latter phase of the project. And certainly our focus right now is on the existing building. I will tell you that one of the aspects, or several aspects that have been very important to us, obviously the historic preservation of the project is very important, but also sustainability, making sure that it's energy efficient. And so as Director McCloy mentioned, we're looking both toward the past, appreciating the glorious past of Melrose, but also making sure that it's a great building, that it works well for the occupants and the users for the future. So Paul, we can go into the building. Here we go. So we are here on the lower level. And again, both Paul and Director McCloy have done a great job of mentioning some of the aspects of this first floor plan. You can see on one end of the building, we have the library spaces. We also have what we're calling the Nook right now, but it is a cafe, a small cafe within this floor. But it's also important to note that we have maintained these expansive corridors that are really common to each of the floor levels. And we look at how they can be activated with video screens and artwork, different exhibits, seating. So that will be a very active space in the building. And then at the opposite end of the building is the Genealogy Center. So you can see that the corridors there in the middle. And so there will be a lot of movement and activity and interaction along that corridor. And we also have added an elevator addition to the building, obviously to make it handicap accessible from different floor levels. So that's something that's also has been incorporated into the project. And we do have some images that will kind of show you more specifically how these spaces are envisioned. And here we are on the second floor level. Again, the main corridor has been maintained. We've also taken advantage of these large windows along the perimeter, and the units that have been planned, there are 14 units, 5 of them are ADA accessible, handicap accessible. And then there are other amenities on this floor, such as the leasing office, the library, and we do envision that this large corridor can be utilized as both what we are calling a fitness walk, so that the seniors that are within this floor level can get some exercise by walking along the corridor, an opportunity to engage with some of their neighbors. And also we do have the laundry, and as I already mentioned, the elevator that's here on this level as well. And one of the important aspects of it, and we'll show you a little bit later, there is actually an outdoor deck that we have created on that floor level. We'll have an image of that. You can see it here as well, directly across from the monumental stair. And we think that this space is going to be a great amenity for both all the residents, really, all the seniors that will be living here in this building. And here we have the third floor, very similar type of space layout for this particular floor. It does also have a laundry on this floor level, along with a fitness center and a movie space. So the whole idea is that, you know, people have their private units, but we're encouraging and creating opportunities for interaction to occur among the residents in the building. And here we're back again on the first floor, and you're looking down the corridor toward the Genealogy Center at the far end, but there in the middle of the screen is the Nook. It kind of has an aspect of it where part of it extends out into the main corridor again to activate that corridor, but another part of it is enclosed with seating. And so it's a way for people to, while they're at the library, they can step away from what they might be studying or the research they're doing and just have the opportunity to socialize with friends or other colleagues that they may be encountering here at the library. One thing to point out is that, you know, we used a lot of glass and storefront is what we call that, the framing to create some visual connections between spaces. This space you're looking into now, that is the meeting, training, and flex space. Again, Director McCloy mentioned this, that the Genealogy Center is important to have an opportunity to train people in how to do the research. So this space would serve that, but it also could serve for community meetings as well. And just beyond, you see the Genealogy Center. We have one image of the inside of the Genealogy Center. So we see that here. You can see we have different study carrels to do the research. There are some large scanners where people want to bring in some documents that they want to make available to the Genealogy Center related to their family history. So that's an important aspect of the interaction that would take place, as well as some of the oral history that Director McCloy mentioned a little bit earlier. The fact that people, the seniors, will be able to come down to this area and also interact with people that may be coming to the center. And finally, we have a slide. This is a view within the library itself. Again, we tried to maintain this openness of these spaces and also have a connection to the exterior as well to bring in the natural light. Here we're up on the second floor level. You can see these are some of the residents from the apartment units. Again, this corridor is meant to be very interactive. We mentioned earlier that there would be a way for people to get some exercise walking the corridor. You see we got a piano, so there could be a possibility of a little impromptu concerts taking place. And you'll see also, we'll take you inside one of the units and you'll get a feel of what the unit looks like as well. So I think that's the next slide, Paul. Yeah, here we are. So this is actually one of the ADA units. They're typically, all the units are somewhere in the range of about 600 to 700 square feet. Again, they're very open. We have also utilized these large windows, bringing in natural light. And again, they would be very energy efficient. And we think there will be a very appealing environment for the residents that will be residents here within the Historic Melrose building. We have one other slide. Again, it's taking you to the exterior space. And again, we think this will be a great amenity for people to both have the experience of being in the building, but whenever they want to come outside, an opportunity to come out on this deck area, again, to interact with their neighbors that are here in the building. So in many ways, we tried to make sure that this building was very interactive, but again, appreciation of the rich history of it being here in Melrose. And again, a look toward the future to make sure that it's very energy efficient and a way in which the people that live here can enjoy it in many aspects.
All right, thank you, Jimmy. So this is the point at which I'm going to stop the share so that I can see the questions as they come in. I know there were a lot of questions around the presentation. I can tell you that we will make this presentation available to the public, so you will get an opportunity. So you didn't have to take screenshots. If you did, you'll have the real thing after this meeting. So we'll make sure that you all get that. And so I will begin to go through these questions and I will try my best to answer. I see a question around Christ Community Health Services is housed in the 8,000 square foot building behind this space. We really need to expand the space to 12,000 square feet. We are so excited about this opportunity. Can we become a partner to relocate the health center to this facility? We certainly interested in having a conversation, and we know the value that Christ Community brings to that area. And so that's Nick Walker. He was one of the persons that spoke earlier, Director of Parks. One of the things that we have talked about as a team internally to city government is thinking of this space as this whole block is one comprehensive space, and making sure that all of the uses on the block, including that health center and the community center and the senior center and red zone, and all of these spaces interact with each other. So we certainly are open to that discussion, whether it's a relocation or expansion. We would love to talk to you all about that. I do know that parking is a big issue on this site. We are well aware of that, and we certainly want to continue to address parking issues and space issues as we can throughout this process. Will seniors be able to apply for housing, or will priority be given to current and former residents of Orange Mound? I think we will be able to do both. Seniors will be able to apply, and we can give priority. So Psyche Middleton, his team will likely be the group that's managing the housing aspects of this project, but you will have an opportunity for that for sure. Give us an idea of what the public-private partnership will look like. I see my good friend Kevin Bowen put that. So what it looks like right now is that the city has $10 million allocated for the project. The city is going to cover the cost for the shell of the building and the bottom floor. So that is the cost of the Library and Genealogy Center, and the developers will be charged with securing the funds for the housing aspects. And that's both inside the building and the external units that you saw at the beginning. So that's roughly how it looks in terms of the public-private partnership. What will the rent be for the apartments, and will it be affordable? It will be affordable. I don't know that we've landed on the final rents. It will be affordable for seniors. Yes, it is for seniors. Right now we are targeting seniors. That is the idea. And I can't give you the specific rent just yet because I know they are still working on the final structure. But just keep in mind, when we talk about affordable housing, there has to be some other subsidies that begin to come into place. So that development team would need to apply for those additional subsidies, whether that's going through the state for tax credits or even some of our local sources, some of which are even in the Division of Housing and Community Development. But we are absolutely committed to working with them to give some final answers on that. I will say that the first phase of this project is to get the shell of the building secured and renovated, as well as the bottom floor. Concurrently, as we're doing that work, the development team will be working on finalizing all of those aspects of the project. Will this facility also open up jobs for the community? That's certainly something that we have talked about, even down to as we get into the phase of construction and working with the general contractors. We want to make as many jobs as possible available to the community. We want this to be a community-oriented project. So that's something that I know the development team is committed to and the city is committed to. I can't give you specifics just yet because we hadn't gotten that far down the line, but I can tell you that that is certainly our goal. Explain the facility upkeep, maintenance, and security. So the maintenance and upkeep of the building, but particularly on the lower floor, is certainly going to be on the city. There will be costs that are split with the developers for the upper floors. And so that will certainly happen in terms of the cost. I don't know that we have the security plan laid out just yet. We know that is going to be something that we want to make sure that it's taken care of. So, and there are so many questions coming in. I'm trying to go as fast as I can. Will the interior character be preserved? Yes, absolutely. That's something that Jimmy referenced, and I know Jimmy as an architect is very, very much committed to historic preservation and sustainability. Is there an opportunity for other investors to participate? Yes. Right now we have $10 million allocated to the project. As we get deeper into this process, I do believe that there will be additional costs. So there'll be opportunities for investors. There'll be opportunity for philanthropy on the private side with the housing units on the upper floors. There certainly will be debt that's needed or investors that are needed. And so you certainly can shoot us some more information about your interest on that front. Memphis Library stands ready to assist, and we appreciate that. The basic funding is there. The basic funding is, so sorry, I didn't read that question clearly. I was reading as I was talking. But the question is basically, is all of the funding there? I believe on the construction side, we are pretty solid on construction, but obviously we hadn't done the final budgets. There are always adjustments. I mean, even the other day, we were thinking about some of the seismic issues that may increase the budget slightly. So we believe that the basic funding is there, but there are still opportunities for that to increase. I think where the Memphis Library Foundation can really be helpful is on the operational programmatic side. And Keenan McCloy, if you're still on, I don't know if you want to speak to that question any. All right, Director McCloy may not be there.
I'm sorry, no, I'm here. I'm here. Like I was thinking about the basic funding and all of that, and was taking notes somehow. And so I'm sorry, what was the question?
The question was, someone from the foundation
Yeah.
said, is all of the basic funding there? And my basic response was that the primary funding for construction is there, but there may be some operational needs longer term.
No, that's right. I mean, I think, you know, one of the things that we try to build in or bake into every project that we have is sustainability. And so as for instance, Cloud 901 was, you know, cost about $2 million. But we built in, you know, 5 to 10 years worth of replacement funding because technology is going to change, you know, all that kind of stuff. So we always, in our budget, we always build in a sustainability plan because, you know, you can't always count on it. And so we definitely plan for that and budget for that. So yeah, I mean, we just have to do that. Otherwise, you know, if you get things that are outdated, it ends up reflecting poorly on us. So we're definitely gonna budget for the long term.
Great, thank you for that, Director McCloy. I'm gonna keep going. We have about 15 minutes left, so I'm gonna hit as many of these questions as we can. Would you please share the street parameters for the project? I know the building is on Dallas Street, and it's just right behind the Senior Center on Park. So at Park in Dallas, it's just behind the senior building. Does the building meet AARP guidelines for livable communities for senior residents? That is a good question. I believe that it will, but we will validate that for you. I'm confident that it will. When might the project be complete and open to the public? So we're projecting that the completion date will be in 2023. I know that sounds like a long time away, but in order for us to do all of the design document, we like to give conservative estimates on timelines. But in order for us to do all of the design, we're giving ourselves 8 months to a year. And that means design and putting out bid packages so that we can start construction in early 2022. And then we put a 18-month construction period, which it may or may not take that long. Will any funds be invested in or available for renovating and upgrading the neighborhood surrounding the facility? Yes, and those funds are actually available now. So through Housing and Community Development, we administer a number of programs. One program is called the Neighborhood Economic Development Opportunities Program. So developers of commercial buildings can apply through that program. And for those that are interested in applying for funds to develop housing, you can apply for our Affordable Housing Partnership Program, which will open up at the end of March, as well as the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which will open up likely late summer. When you reference seniors, do you mean 55 and older or over 62? That is a distinction that I don't know that I can answer right now, but we will certainly get clarity. I believe it's 55 and older, but I want to make sure that we are accurate with that. What community engagement is happening to ensure that all Orange Mound community members feel welcomed and engaged? So obviously engagement has been different during this pandemic period, but prior to the pandemic, we had a lot of engagement and very frequent meetings and conversation specifically around this project. I do know that the assessor has a group of community members that have been meeting very, very frequently to talk about issues in the community. I know that Housing and Community Development has a program, the Community Coalition program, where we have groups from Orange Mound that have been meeting on a very regular basis. So I believe the engagement is there. I would say that it's over though. I think that there are certainly other additional opportunities to make sure that the community feels welcome, and we will continue to do that work. Thank you for that question though. How does this project link with other community development work taking place in Orange Mound? I think of this as being one of the anchor projects in Orange Mound. As the mayor talked about Accelerate Memphis, what he didn't really get into, and I probably should have gotten into that, is there's additional work that is slated for Orange Mound from Accelerate Memphis as well. So a part of Accelerate Memphis is to do small area plans. And with small area plans, it's a part of the Memphis 3.0 comprehensive plan that was done. But with small area plans, the premise is to identify anchors in the community and figure out how we can invest in those anchors. And so this site is one of the anchors along Park Avenue, but the small area plan for which funds were set aside, I think there's somewhere around $4 million that were set aside as a part of that small area planning work to look at the whole park corridor from Lamar all the way down to Highland. So this is a part of that broader effort to impact the Orange Mound community, knowing that Park Avenue is the spine for the neighborhood. Next question, do you have a high-level project management plan available for public knowledge? No, we do not have that high-level plan available just yet, but that will be a part of the work that we're going to be doing over the next month, is putting all of those plans together and working out all of the agreements to get this process underway. So that will come. As we know, many times investment in projects happen in a vacuum. Do we have plans ongoing for surrounding areas to help foster the renaissance in the entire area? I think my response previously speaks to that one. So I'm going to go to the next one. What housing organizations are involved in an affordable senior housing component? So the housing organization that's involved right now is the development firm of John Stanley, which is the group that built the affordable, and that was Saki Middleton that spoke earlier. His firm built Mason Village or Mason Homes. I can't remember what we called it at the end, but they did a great job on that property over at 4th and Crump. If you haven't driven by that, you'll see the quality of work that they bring to the table. And obviously, Self Tucker will also be a part of that development team. And I know that they are open to having additional conversations with the community on various aspects of that work. So Kelly Brother wrote, can a statue of Mary Mitchell and Alcine Arnett lying down in front of a bulldozer be erected in front of the building? And tell Mary that you sent it. So I think that statement just shows to the long history that this building has. I've heard about Miss Alcine from Miss Mitchell, and we are very, very excited to be able to bring forth this development, because I think it is a testament to that advocacy that has gone. It has not gone unnoticed, for sure. How does this fit with the Fairgrounds project? I tried to mention that earlier, but it can get a little bit complicated. So without getting into all of the nuances, when we first started the Fairgrounds project and we tried to think of what are all of the things that we can impact as a part of this, and we heard about the desire to renovate Historic Melrose, we drew the boundaries for the Fairgrounds Tourism Development Zone to include this structure. We had only included $2 million in it, but we said at least we can get $2 million from the TDZ to put into this structure and figure out how we get the rest. So the city's commitment supersedes what would have come from the TDZ. The TDZ, based on current projections, probably won't generate enough, at least not yet on the outset, to provide additional funding for this project right now. But if it does in the future, certainly we will look at that. But that is the connection. What we tried to do is figure out how can we find assets in Orange Mound that we can connect to the Fairgrounds project. We're also going to be looking at making some improvements to those corridors along Southern that connect up from the Fairgrounds to Orange Mound, and those will be some of the connections that we want to make sure that we strengthen. And also Councilwoman mentioned that in addition to carving in a Historic Melrose, we also carved in the Lamar and Airways Shopping Center, so that if the Fairgrounds TDZ does generate additional revenues, there will be funds that could go towards infrastructure in that area as well. All right, next question. We got about 7 minutes left. I'm just going to keep rolling. How can Orange Mound contractors participate in the building of the project so that some of that $10 million stays in Orange Mound? Great question. So we will have an opportunity for contractors. We don't have a general contractor right now, so we'll be putting out all of those bids, and we will encourage contractors to identify Orange Mound residents to participate in the project. Obviously, we can't mandate it, but we certainly want to encourage it. And just to put a finer point on that, when we did the renovation, I know I saw Miss Marshall on here earlier. When we did the temporary activation back in 2018, we did work with a contractor that did have strong ties and roots in Orange Mound, and he was able to use a number of residents. And so we're hopeful that we can have that type of engagement again. All right, Ms. Powell, I see Alliance Healthcare is excited about this project, and we are located right next to Christ Community. How will this project impact our location? We serve approximately 1,500 Orange Mound residents. Our hope is that this is a boost for the work that you all do. I think I mentioned earlier that there may be some parking stresses that we're going to have to work through as a collective. And so we'll probably have to have some offline conversations about that. But I think parking will probably be the biggest impact right now, in addition to bringing a more captive audience to the space, so that you'll have more people to take on the services that you offer. Will there be tutoring services or extracurricular activities for the neighborhood youth? We certainly hope so. Some of that programming will probably have to come from some of the nonprofit partners. I don't know that the city will necessarily provide those tutoring services, but I believe that as we get this project developed, we will find many opportunities for partnering with different agencies. How much of the existing Melrose School will remain? Our hope is that all of it will remain in terms of the shell of the building. There may be some interior walls and things like that that may need to come out. However, much of the building will remain. What's the process for vendors to submit a program, offering, or service to the library or Genealogy Center? As of now, I think that the best approach it will be to connect to members of our team so that we have a bank of those opportunities. We obviously will put out public solicitations, but it never hurts to let us know. So Felicia Harris, I think my email was on the in the document. So if you forward it to me, that's great, but it probably would be better to send it to Felicia Harris, felicia.harris@memphisten.gov. Will there be opportunities to host outdoor event and activities like Juneteenth? Will the building be designed to address ventilation criteria? So those are two questions. Absolutely, yes. Outdoor events would be encouraged and we would love to see more of that. And in terms of ventilation requirements, absolutely, we will make sure that the building is up to all codes and ensure that the ventilation is taken care of. Have we considered community investment trust opportunities, CIT opportunities? We haven't necessarily considered it for the primary public spaces, although we're certainly open to it. And Justin would love to talk to you about that if you have some ideas on that. What aspect of green space has been incorporated in the project? Outside environment parks, outside recreation and the like. I think if you recall the design, what we tried to do was maintain as much of the existing green space that is currently there. I think he also added some community garden space as well as the addition of the outdoor deck for those that live in the units on the upper floors. Our goal is to continue to refine that plan, and we will have more information on that as we move forward. Have we selected a general contractor? No. If not, what construction delivery method will be used to select one? I think we have talked about construction manager at risk. However, I don't think we've finalized that. So lastly, what is our anticipated construction start date? And that would be the start of 2022. Is there 2 minutes left? All right. Is there an opportunity to consider how this can fit into a community land trust model? I'm certainly open to the conversation. I'm not sure how that would work, but yes, we are certainly open to that. Will we be using historic tax credits to assist with financing? We've talked about it, but we have not finalized whether we would. I think that I noted as a part of the private portion that was a part of their financing structure. And so we just have to see how is that impacted if we start on the project before that portion of the project starts. I know that historic tax credits require various components and aspects of the building to be maintained and in place. And so we will certainly use any resources that allow us to get to the end goal. Will the project cause any displacement of current residents in the area? We certainly hope not. We certainly aren't displacing anyone. We obviously know that there are always pressures on the community from a rent perspective and the cost of land, and whether you will see dramatic price increases in the community as a result of new development. Although I don't anticipate that being the case with this project, but we certainly will be keeping our eyes on it as we always are. Orange Mound was built with home ownership for Black families in mind. What thought was put into that with building of apartments instead of single family homes? Well, it was really more around how do we make effective use of the space? And we certainly want to encourage home ownership in Orange Mound. We want to see more of it. The challenge is that structure is not conducive for home ownership. It could be condominiums, but one of the other dynamics we have in Orange Mound is you do have a number of seniors that are aging in the community. And as they don't necessarily have the means to take care of single family homes, they need spaces where they can continue to live in the community. And we thought that this would be a good option. I'm gonna do this as the last question. I know we have a couple of more. Have positions been filled for the audio recording area, or will Melrose Orange Mound community applicants have priority to these positions? So these will be positions within the library. And so we're a ways away from those positions actually being posted. I don't know if they will actually have priority, but certainly it'll be a strong feather in the cap of the applicants that are from Orange Mound. So with that said, I know we went very quickly and I didn't get to all of the questions. You will be seeing and hearing a lot more about this project. I want to thank everybody for participating today. This will close our conversation for today, and we will certainly make sure that you all get an opportunity to get the presentation in hand. So we will post it on our website as well as send it out to those that actually registered. So thank you. You all have a great day.